time. Time now for Konrad's Car Clinic. Mm-hmm. Do you have that?
Yes, I do. Right
Okay.
here.
Just
So again, over the last couple of weeks, I've done exhaust manifolds and intake manifolds. This time we're going to do something on fuel injection. So if you kind of remember, the Corvette fuel injection system called the Ramjet was back in 1957. Go back up one.
I can't. You hit it.
The Ramjet of 1957 was on the Bel Air and available on the Corvettes and stuff. Well, this is the intake manifold from a Ramjet. Remember, we showed you what the tunnel ram looked like on the race cars?
Yes.
Well, they basically had a tunnel ram on the Corvette fuel injection system back in the 50s and 60s. So, they were, again, bringing the racetrack to production cars. And, that was 10, 15 pounds of pressure of fuel. And then they changed to, in the 80s, they changed to a throttle body injection. It worked, but not as effectively as it could have. So this throttle body injection was on all kinds of 4-cylinders, V6s, and V8 engines through the early to mid 80s. And then they went from throttle body, they went to port fuel injection. And there was kind of 2 generations of port fuel injections that were out there. Injector looked very much the same between the 2 of them. One was called a multi-port injection. So on the V8s, all 8 injectors sprayed at the same time. And then they went to sequential port injection, where each injector sprayed just before the intake manifold opened, which is kind of where they are today, which makes more sense in the fuel economy world. So the original generation of multi-port injection was fuel injection, but wasn't the most efficient of the fuel injection systems that were out there. And the multi-port and the port fuel injection systems both ran about 60 psi of fuel pressure. This being a sequential port fuel injection system, again, firing each cylinder individually on the vehicle. And this would be more of a gasoline direct injected system, where you're talking about fuel pressures up to 25,000 psi. The fuel pump on these now run off of a mechanical fuel pump that's driven by the camshaft. Now, if you go back in time, back to the 50s and 60s, they had a mechanical diaphragm fuel pump that ran off of the camshaft as well. So the reason they go to such high pressure is they want to have real precise control of it. So these new GDI injectors that are out there at 25,000 psi, instead of just spraying one spray just before the intake valve opens, they do what's called a stutter spray. So it may have 5, 6, 7 injection actions each compression stroke. So, and that's trying to use the least amount of fuel with the most amount of power. The thing about gasoline direct injection and why the pressure is so much higher is they've moved the injector from behind the intake valve to down into the combustion chamber. So it has to be able to overcome the combustion pressure.
I have a question. So with direct injection, does it matter the octane of the fuel? When you said it like a stutter versus a stream, does it matter which you get with a higher octane fuel?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't compensate for the fuel octane unless you have a spark knock problem. You can run a low enough fuel octane to get a spark knock problem, then it'll change the fuel system on it.
Gotcha.
And the spark system algorithms on it. But the other thing about a gasoline direct injected engine is, you can see on this one, it doesn't just have one cone of fuel spray, it has multiple cones of fuel spray. If you remember when we did pistons, I showed you the bathtub at the top of a piston. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to hit that bathtub in the top of the piston and get all of that fuel to roll up, so you get a ball of good air fuel mixture right at the tip of the spark plug
to get the
and then the spark plug ignites to push the piston down. So that's some information about how fuel injection works today and the evolution of it through years.
And I will tell you that I have had very little experience with the original Corvette fuel injection back in the early days in the 50s when they came out with that. Was it the 50s?
Yeah, 57.
Yeah. And I will tell you that mechanical fuel injection system was a beast to work on. Right. And I knew one guy that knew that thing backwards and forwards, and it took him hours to get it right the way
Tuned
it's supposed. Yeah,
correctly, right?
But once he did, it was sweet for the
Yeah.
time
It
period.
was only available on the Bel Air for 1 year, and then on the Corvettes, it was available from 57 all the way through 65.
Time now for a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We'll wrap up.